Patricia stood at the front of the conference room, her voice dripping with manufactured authority as she delivered what she thought would be my professional execution. Jake Morrison's harassment and incompetence can no longer be tolerated, she announced to 30 shocked faces. What she didn't know was that I'd been planning this moment for weeks, and my entire team was about to make her the most expensive mistake of her career. My name is Jake Morrison, and at 34, I thought I had corporate life figured out. 7 years at Meridian Solutions had taught me the rules of the game: show up first, leave last, protect your team, and deliver results. Simple formula, right? Well, that's what I believed until the night everything changed. I'd built my reputation on 3 things: loyalty, integrity, and an almost obsessive attention to detail. My sales team trusted me completely. Sarah, our data analyst with a photographic memory for client histories. Marcus, who could charm anyone into a deal but never crossed ethical lines. David, fresh out of college but sharp as a razor. Lisa, our veteran who'd seen every corporate trick in the book. And Tom, whose dry humor kept us sane during the worst quarters. We weren't just colleagues, we were a family that happened to work together. 3 consecutive years as top performer doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you genuinely care about your clients, when you solve their problems instead of just selling them products. My track record spoke for itself, and honestly, I was proud of what we'd accomplished together. But success at Meridian Solutions came with pressure, the kind that makes your stomach knot up during quarterly reviews. Corporate environments have this weird way of making everyone paranoid, constantly looking over their shoulders. Everyone except me, apparently. I was too busy focusing on the work to notice what was happening right above my head. That Tuesday evening started like any other. The office had emptied hours ago, but I stayed behind to prep quarterly reports. Numbers don't lie, and I loved the satisfaction of watching our performance metrics tell the story of another successful quarter. Spreadsheets might bore most people to tears, but to me, they were like reading a good mystery novel. Then I found something that didn't add up. Client account discrepancies, small ones at first, the kind you might dismiss as data entry errors. A few thousand here, a few thousand there. But my detail-obsessed brain couldn't let it go. I started digging deeper, cross-referencing client payments with our internal records. The deeper I dug, the more my stomach dropped. Funds were being diverted, not randomly, not accidentally, systematically. Someone with high-level access was stealing from our clients, and they were good at covering their tracks. The digital breadcrumbs were faint, but they were there if you knew where to look. Every trail led back to the same access codes. The same approval signatures, Patricia Williams, my boss. The woman I'd defended in countless meetings, the executive I'd trusted with my career and my team's future. Sleep became impossible after that discovery. I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through the implications. This wasn't just about money. Our clients trusted us with their businesses, their livelihoods. Patricia wasn't just stealing from the company, she was betraying every relationship we'd built. The moral crossroads hit me like a freight train. Company loyalty had always been my thing. I bled Meridian blue, defended our culture, believed in what we were building. But this shattered everything I thought I knew about the place. Over the next few days, I became a detective in my own office, carefully documenting evidence, taking screenshots, building an ironclad case. The deeper I investigated, the more sophisticated Patricia's scheme revealed itself. She'd been manipulating sales reports to hide the embezzlement, creating false entries to balance the books. The woman I'd trusted was a master manipulator. As I gathered more evidence, a nagging feeling grew in my gut. Patricia was smart, calculating. If she suspected I was onto her scheme, she wouldn't hesitate to eliminate the threat. And in corporate America, there are plenty of ways to destroy someone's career without leaving fingerprints. What I didn't realize was that she was already planning my professional execution. The phone call came on a Thursday morning, completely out of nowhere. Pinnacle Dynamics wanted to talk, not just to me, but about bringing my entire team over. The timing felt suspicious, almost too convenient. But then again, corporate headhunters have a sixth sense about when talent might be ready to jump ship. "We've been watching your numbers," their recruiter said during our initial conversation. "Your team's performance is legendary in the industry." Legendary. That word stuck with me. Patricia had always taken credit for our success, but apparently the outside world knew where the real magic happened. Here's the thing about working in sales for 7 years. You develop instincts. And every instinct I had was screaming that Patricia was about to make her move against me. The way she'd been avoiding eye contact in meetings, the suspicious glances when she thought I wasn't looking, the subtle questions about my client relationships. So, I made a decision that would either save my career or destroy it completely. Instead of just considering Pinnacle's offer for myself, I started thinking bigger. What if my entire team could escape Patricia's web before she had a chance to tear us apart? The recruitment conversation had planted a seed, but I needed to nurture it carefully. One wrong move, and Patricia would catch wind of what I was planning. The secret campaign began with individual coffee meetings. Nothing suspicious, just normal check-ins with my team members, but I started asking different questions, probing questions about their career goals, their concerns about management, their thoughts on Patricia's leadership style. Sarah was the first to open up. "Something's been bothering me about the account reconciliations," she confided during our Tuesday morning coffee. "Numbers that should match aren't matching. And when I tried to ask Patricia about it, she shut me down immediately." Marcus had noticed it too. "Patricia's been asking weird questions about client contact lists," he revealed. "Like she's trying to figure out who has the strongest relationships. It feels off, you know?" One by one, my team members started connecting the dots. David had caught Patricia accessing his computer after hours. Lisa noticed discrepancies in commission calculations. Tom overheard phone conversations that didn't sound quite right. The beautiful thing about building genuine relationships with people is that trust flows both ways. My team trusted me enough to share their concerns, and I trusted them enough to carefully reveal what I'd discovered about Patricia's embezzlement scheme. Their reactions were exactly what I expected: shock, anger, and then determination to do the right thing. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of rushing to HR or calling the authorities immediately, we decided to get strategic. Patricia had taught us something valuable without realizing it. Sometimes the best defense is a well-planned offense. The Pinnacle Dynamics opportunity became our escape hatch. Over the next 2 weeks, I carefully negotiated positions for my entire team. Sarah would head up their analytics department. Marcus would lead West Coast sales. David would join their emerging markets division. Lisa would train new hires. Tom would handle key account management. We were building something bigger than just new jobs. We were creating a safety net that would protect us when Patricia inevitably tried to destroy our careers. The delicate balance of maintaining normal work routines while orchestrating a mass departure felt like walking a tightrope. We had to appear completely normal during the day while secretly preparing for our collective exit, planning client transitions, copying important documents, securing references from satisfied customers. Every conversation with Patricia became a performance, smiling and nodding while she discussed quarterly projections, knowing full well that she'd been manipulating those same projections to cover her tracks. The irony was almost amusing, if it weren't so infuriating. Then Patricia made her move. The signs became obvious in hindsight. She started scheduling more meetings with senior executives, casual conversations about team performance concerns and leadership challenges that she thought I wasn't aware of. She was laying groundwork, building a narrative that would make my eventual termination seem justified. What she didn't realize was that we were watching her just as carefully as she was watching us. The quarterly meeting was scheduled for the following Monday. Our biggest clients would be there, along with senior management and key stakeholders. Perfect audience for a public execution, if that's what someone had in mind. Patricia's behavior that week confirmed my suspicions. She was planning something big. Friday afternoon, she pulled me aside for what she called a pre-meeting discussion. Her smile was predatory, confident. "I think Monday's meeting will be very enlightening for everyone involved," she said. The way she emphasized everyone sent chills down my spine. That weekend, my team and I finalized our preparations. Pinnacle Dynamics had agreed to announce our hiring on Monday afternoon, right after Meridian's quarterly meeting. The timing would be perfect, assuming we all survived whatever Patricia had planned. Sunday night, I barely slept. My mind kept racing through different scenarios, trying to anticipate every possible angle of Patricia's attack. Harassment allegations seemed most likely. Easy to fabricate, impossible to disprove quickly, devastating to reputation, regardless of eventual outcome. But we had advantages Patricia didn't know about. My team's loyalty wasn't just professional anymore, it was personal. We'd uncovered her crimes together, planned our escape together, and we were ready to face whatever she threw at us. The morning of the meeting, everything felt surreal. Patricia was practically glowing with anticipation, like a cat preparing to pounce on an unsuspecting mouse. She had no idea that the mouse had grown claws overnight. Walking into that conference room, seeing 30 faces from across the company, I felt strangely calm. Months of investigation, weeks of planning, and hours of preparation had led to this moment. Patricia thought she was about to deliver my professional death sentence. Instead, she was about to trigger the most spectacular corporate implosion I'd ever witnessed. The trap she'd spent weeks setting was about to become her own prison. And my team, the people she'd underestimated and overlooked, were about to show her exactly what loyalty looks like when it's earned instead of demanded. Patricia cleared her throat and called the meeting to order. Her moment of triumph was finally here, or so she thought. Patricia's accusation hung in the air like toxic smoke. 30 faces stared at me, processing her words about harassment and incompetence. Some looked shocked, others confused. A few clients seemed genuinely concerned about what they'd just heard. But here's what Patricia missed in her moment of theatrical triumph. She was so focused on delivering her killing blow that she forgot to watch the room carefully. I stayed calm. Eerily calm, actually. "That's quite an accusation, Patricia," I said, my voice steady. "Before we discuss my alleged failures, maybe we should talk about the missing client funds you've been embezzling for the past 18 months. The silence that followed was deafening. Patricia's face went through about 6 different expressions in 2 seconds. Confusion, then panic, then forced laughter. "Jake, this is exactly the kind of delusional behavior we've been concerned about." Sarah stood up first, not dramatically, not with fanfare. She simply rose from her chair like she was about to give a quarterly report. "Actually, Patricia, we have documentation of every fraudulent transaction. Screenshots, access logs, approval signatures, everything." Marcus was next. "The embezzlement totals just over $400,000 across 12 client accounts. We've verified each discrepancy." Then David. "Including the fake entries you created to balance the books." Lisa joined them. "And the manipulated sales reports designed to hide the theft." Finally, Tom stood up with that dry smile of his. "Honestly, Patricia, your accounting skills are almost as creative as your management style." The room erupted, not with shouting or chaos, but with the kind of electric tension that happens when everyone realizes they're witnessing something historic. Client representatives started whispering urgently to each other. Senior management looked like they'd been hit with stun guns. Patricia tried to regain control. "This is clearly a coordinated attack by a disgruntled employee and his enablers." Wrong move. "Disgruntled?" Sarah's voice carried across the room. "We're not disgruntled, Patricia. We're disgusted. There's a difference." Marcus pulled out his phone. "We've already contacted the appropriate authorities. The FBI's Financial Crimes Division is very interested in your creative bookkeeping." But here comes the beautiful part. The part that still makes me smile years later. I looked around at the clients, people who'd trusted us with their businesses, their dreams, their futures. "I want to assure everyone that your accounts and relationships will be protected during this transition." Transition? Patricia's voice cracked slightly. "Well, yes." I kept my tone professional, almost casual. "My entire team has accepted positions with Pinnacle Dynamics, effective immediately. We'll be taking our client relationships with us, naturally." The math hit the room like a freight train. 80% of Meridian's revenue was about to walk out the door. Not in a month, not after some extended notice period. Today, right now. The clients we'd built relationships with over years weren't going to stick around for Patricia's damage control efforts. One of our biggest clients, Janet Morrison from TechFlow Solutions, spoke up first. "If Jake's team is moving, we're moving with them. This embezzlement situation is exactly the kind of risk we can't afford." Then came the domino effect. Client after client expressing concerns about their account security, their fund safety, their future with Meridian. Patricia's attempt to destroy me had instead revealed her crimes to the exact. People she'd been stealing from. The irony was almost too perfect. Patricia made one last desperate attempt. You can't just leave. There are contracts, non-compete clauses. Tom's response was priceless. Funny thing about non-compete clauses, Patricia, they're pretty hard to enforce when your employer is under federal investigation for embezzlement. Within 20 minutes, the conference room had cleared except for Patricia and a few very concerned executives. My team and I walked out together, knowing we'd just witnessed the collapse of someone who thought power meant she could destroy people without consequences. Later that afternoon, Pinnacle Dynamics announced our hiring. The transition was seamless, professional, and profitable for everyone except Patricia. Justice served, loyalty rewarded, and the most expensive corporate mistake in Meridian's history. Sometimes the best revenge is simply letting someone's own actions catch up with them. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Within hours of our walkout, FBI agents arrived at Meridian's offices with search warrants. Patricia's carefully constructed house of cards collapsed faster than a demolished building. By Wednesday, she was arrested on federal embezzlement charges. The local news ran her perp walk on the evening broadcast. Karma has a twisted sense of timing. Our clients followed us to Pinnacle Dynamics without hesitation. TechFlow Solutions signed their new contract the same day. DataSync Corp moved their entire account portfolio within the week. Even the smaller clients, the ones Patricia had dismissed as insignificant, chose to trust our team over Meridian's desperate damage control efforts. The numbers were devastating for Meridian. 82% revenue loss in a single quarter. Stock price plummeted. 3 executives resigned in disgrace for failing to catch Patricia's scheme. The company that once dominated our market sector became a cautionary tale whispered about in boardrooms. Meanwhile, our transition to Pinnacle felt seamless. Sarah rebuilt the analytics department from scratch, implementing fraud detection protocols that would have caught Patricia's embezzlement in days instead of months. Marcus expanded West Coast operations by 40% in his first quarter. David landed the biggest emerging markets deal in company history. Lisa became legendary for training new hires about corporate red flags and ethical decision-making. Tom's dry humor kept everyone grounded during the hectic early months. His favorite joke became, "At least our new boss steals coffee from the break room instead of money from clients." Patricia's trial lasted 8 months. She received 4 years in federal prison and full restitution orders she'll never be able to pay. Her legal defense tried arguing that we'd orchestrated some elaborate corporate conspiracy against her. The jury wasn't buying it. The judge's closing statement stuck with me. Corporate loyalty means nothing. Without corporate integrity, these employees demonstrated true loyalty by protecting their clients and exposing corruption, regardless of personal risk. 3 years later, our Pinnacle team has grown from 5 people to 37. We've launched 2 new product lines, opened offices in Chicago and Denver, and maintained every single client relationship we brought from Meridian. Sometimes former Meridian employees reach out, asking how we spotted Patricia's scheme so early. The answer is always the same. We paid attention. We cared about details. We trusted each other enough to ask difficult questions. Patricia taught us something valuable without meaning to. Power without accountability always self-destructs. We just happened to be smart enough to get out of the blast radius. Best career move we ever made.